We live in an age of constant information, scrolling, swiping, streaming, and yet more and more people are choosing to tune out. News avoidance is a widespread reaction to overload, distrust, and disconnection. Fake news, algorithm-driven content, and populist narratives are deepening the divide between journalists and the public. And while some voices dominate the discourse, many others are simply not being heard. So today we ask, how can journalism rebuild lost trust? How can media truly engage people, especially those who've stopped listening? Welcome to MIZ Deciders Day 2025, Overcoming News Avoidance and Reclaiming Trust. I'm truly happy to welcome all of you here in Potsdam and to everyone joining us via live stream. Thank you for being part of this from across Europe. I hope some of the energy in this room reaches you at your desks, on your couches, or wherever you are watching from. My name is Amelie Marie Weber. I'm a journalist, and it's my pleasure to guide you through this evening. Deciders Day is a cooperation between the Media Innovation Center Babelsberg, MIZ, and the Creative Europe Desk Berlin-Brandenburg. The Creative Europe Desk Berlin-Brandenburg is the regional contact point for the EU's Creative Europe Media Funding Program, which supports the audiovisual sector in Germany. They offer guidance on funding, applications, and networking, and organize events and workshops that foster international collaboration, like today. The Media Innovation Center Babelsberg, MIZ, is the House of Innovation for Media and Journalism in Berlin and Brandenburg. As an institution of the Media Authority of Berlin-Brandenburg, they fund pioneering projects at the intersection of media and technology, bring innovation into newsrooms, and foster critical exchange about the future of journalism, also like today. So I would say these are the perfect initiators, and I'm delighted that they are here to welcome you personally. Sarah Luisa Thiele, Volker Bach from MIZ, and Susanne Schmidt from Creative Europe Desk Berlin-Brandenburg. Welcome. Or thank you that we are allowed to be here. These are your microphones. Volker, maybe you want to start.
Yeah, I do. So, welcome again. You have to go through 4 welcomes at all, but I guess you will enjoy the whole evening very much. Welcome to the MIZ Deciders Day 2025. We are actually delighted to have you here. My name is Volker Bach. I'm the Managing Director of the MIZ Babelsberg, and as you said, we are part of the Media Authority Berlin-Brandenburg, which is important for our work as well. We're very pleased to engage with you today, one of the most and maybe hottest challenges facing journalism, the rise of news avoidance. We ourselves see us as a space for experimentation, so that's what we're doing tonight. Let's experiment about these things. A big thank you to our partners, first of all, to the Creative Europe Desk Berlin-Brandenburg for the collaboration, and a big thank you to our teams at the MIZ Babelsberg for the organization of this evening, and to our teams of Alex Berlin for producing it and spreading it all over the world, maybe. And now, Luisa, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thank you, Volker. I will give you a bit of a context why we are doing this tonight. During a roundtable last autumn here at MIZ, decision makers from media and from journalism came together for an open exchange. And one thing was very clear. Many newsrooms are struggling with declining relevance and also with the challenge of re-engaging audiences who are consciously turning away from the news. And that's exactly where this evening picks up. We want to present you 3 best cases from Europe that use new formats and also innovative approaches to gain trust, foster community, and also reignite public interest in journalism. But it's not only about great ideas today. It's also about the structures that allow them to thrive. And one institution that is playing a key role at the Europe level is Creative Europe. That's why I'm very pleased to hand over to Susan from Creative Europe Desk Berlin-Brandenburg.
Thanks a lot, Luisa. A very warm welcome also on behalf of the Creative Europe Desk. We are really very happy to have you here, and we are extremely happy to have one supported project with us that started in 2022. And yeah, with 10 different partners from 4 countries, and I'm so interested to learn more about. Creative Europe, most of you probably will know, is program, the only funding program at a European Commission level for culture and creative industries. In 2021, journalism was included. That wasn't the case before. And I think this is extremely relevant, and we would really love to continue that, also the program to be continued. 60 projects were funded so far, and I hope many more in the future. It's all about collaboration, of course, that's the core of the program, but it's a lot about also technological innovation in the newsroom. It's about building up and looking for new audiences. We heard there is a big loss in audiences for news media, for reliable news media. And of course, it's about media literacy, to really build democratic infrastructure, to build trust again, as you said. And yeah, we are extremely happy that journalism is a part of our program, and we are really happy to have this forum together with you for today. And I wish you, of course, a really interesting, inspiring evening. And yeah, let's continue to talk afterwards.
Thank you so much. Maybe one applause for our hosts. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Yeah, Sarah Luisa said it already. Let's take a quick look at how this event came to be. In September 2024, media and journalism decision makers came together at MIZ Roundtable to openly discuss current challenges in the industry, and one issue stood out: news avoidance. I think we all know that, right? I hear so many, especially young people, who tell me, I can't watch the news anymore. I just can't stand it. It's too much. It's too heavy, and so on. So this emerged as one of the most pressing concerns, and it felt like we need to talk about this even more. And that's how this Deciders Day was born. So tonight we're taking it one step further by focusing on solutions and exploring new ways to reconnect with our audiences. Important to say is that news fatigue and news avoidance aren't just media problems, right? They are democratic problems. When people disengage from journalism, they lose access to crucial context about the world around them. And when large parts of society turn away from trustworthy information, it paves the way for polarization and misinformation. And that's why this discussion is so important, not just within individual newsrooms or national borders, but across formats, platforms, and cultures. So to rebuild trust, we need to collaborate, exchange, and rethink old assumptions, and that's why we're here today. Throughout the evening, we'll hear from 3 outstanding initiatives from across Europe. Each one offers a different answer to the same question: how do we re-engage with the public? They do so through community-based journalism, user-focused storytelling, and interactive tools that go beyond informing to invite real participation. First, they introduce their projects, and afterwards we open up the stage for discussion and also for questions. But first, please welcome our speakers. The first one is Catarina Carvalho, founder and editor from Lisbon. Hi, welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's very nice to be here, and let me tell you that you are getting better weather than Lisbon, which is quite unusual. Also to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So Mensagem de Lisboa is a local, and I would say we deal with Lisbon, which is a capital city, as an hyperlocal. And we were founded 4 years ago by a group of journalists and a group of entrepreneurs from the city. So we are a for-profit company, just to, I think this context is pretty much needed. We, from the beginning, decided to have this motto, which is, we wouldn't like to do journalism as usual. We don't do it. We come, two of our founding members come from traditional media, but we left because we were tired of the ways that things were going, with cuts in the business, with a lot of bubble going on, people not talking to the real people. And since we were always in Lisbon, we decided to team up with these members of the Lisboa community to work with them. And this is what happens when you stop just being a journalist and start being a neighbor. So we usually say that our business model is being good neighbors. And I will show you a little video just to start.
Para 3 lugares à volta de Lisboa que são considerados desertos de notícia, ou seja, lugares de que não se fala na imprensa e nos mídias em Portugal. A Mensagem trabalhou em equipa com os jovens destes bairros, com 3 associações, Cavaleiros de São Brás, Creativo em Chelas e Unidigras em Mãe Martins, para contar as histórias deles que ninguém conta.
Este trabalho do qual participei com a MIZ
very deeply into this project, but just wanted to tell you this was the project of last year where we did these pop-up newsrooms. And this is like kind of our business model. And this is why I think that in Mensagem is very interesting, that the business model crosses the participation model and also the being a member of the city. And this is what we do. We do journalism embedded in daily life. We participate in the city, and this is one of the projects that we did that proved that showed our participation in the city. But this is what we did. We want everything that we do is not from a pedestal, is not from a bubble. We try to do it even in the way we tell the stories. We tell it with the neighbor's voice. We don't use jargon. We don't use journalistic jargon. We use everyday words. We do videos with people. We go very often to places to understand what people are thinking about what we are doing and what people are thinking about the journalism that is being done in the other media. It was not always easy. We had some backlashes, especially here in the center. We did, this was a project also actually with the European Union, but a different branch of the, not Creative Europe. We did with these guys a rap music about what is like being a European in nowadays. And this is a shantytown near Lisbon, and we got very adverse reactions for this. And what we always understood is that radical listening can really solve some of these problems. That's something that journalists aren't doing, we believe. And so we listened to them. We understood what their questions were about us being there like parachuting. And we created this kind of relationship that helped us do the story, do the rap, and helping them also show the rap in a festival in Portugal and bringing them to Brussels to show the rap in the European community. It was a rap about being an immigrant in European Union right now. And so this is what real innovation looks like. You saw this in the video. This is a feast, a real feast. It's called the Festas de Lisboa. It's an all month when Lisbon is all with feasts like we are going to have now. It's very similar to this, but all around the city. And what we do is we do a day, we play music. We are the DJs of a special event that really brings people together with us. This is what real innovation looks like. This is something that we did with a very big Portuguese artist. Actually, he has a piece here in Berlin. It's called Vils, V-H-I-L-S. I don't know if you heard of him. He does these big murals, and he did this mural with a story that we discovered, which was about the Second World War. That's a refugee, and when Lisbon was the only place when refugees could pass by in World War II. So we discovered this guy who had been a refugee and who was in Lisbon taking pictures. We discovered the story. Nobody knew about the story. Nobody knew that these pictures existed and they were taken by this guy. And Vils gave us his copyrights, and he did this big mural in the port of Lisbon that was a celebration and a memory of this event that nobody knew about. And there was no celebration about this in Lisbon. So yes, this is journalism. This is a story that is told by a mural. We also do books. This is a comic book. These are two authors that are part of our team. And this is a book, a comic book about the story of Lisbon and about the stories of Lisbon. This was we are in the 3rd edition now. And this is based in facts. It's not fiction, it's facts, it's journalism again. And this is also journalism in a kind of way. This is, you will not understand it because it's not a video. This girl is doing sign language in one of these feasts in Lisbon. We did an inclusive arraial, an inclusive feast, and we were the first ones to translate the music into sign language. And that was also part of it was actually part of the European Union desk in Portugal, and we did it with them. We paid the woman and we did the stories, and we also helped design the place where this feast was going to take place, this event was going to take place. And now this is what we are doing, and this is a theater. It's a theater where we put our stories told by the real people in the stories. I will show you the video.
Bem-vindos à primeira edição da
Mensagem ao vivo means mensagem live. This is a rapper that used to sing songs on the trains, and we told his stories from Brazil. This guy is Italian, he lives in Lisbon, and he turns a sports team into an integration tool. And these are our students. This is the drawing that we do every show. This guy builds sunglasses with trash. And this is a poet, and she did stories for us in poetry. She did stories about Lisbon. This guy is a trash guy. I don't know how to say this in English, but he writes books for children about trash and about how to deal. And this is one amateur theater group in Portugal. So this is what we do. So you can see that innovation is not gadgets. I know that we are in a place very gadget-like, but a mural can tell a story, and that's value. A monthly journalism live show at the Municipal Theatre, that's impact. That's in the impact that we have. I still have 5 minutes, and I'm going to tell you a story. We were talking about this and about why it is so important for journalism to connect people. And we had our motto, which was empathy through knowledge. knowledge provokes empathy. We had, on our last show, we are doing these live shows with real people. It's not journalism on stage, journalists on stage. It's the real people that were in our stories. And one of the stories was about a rap album, a rap project that was made in a prison. And only one of the guys who did this rap project in this prison was out. He had been released, and he was on stage telling his story. And one guy in the audience was crying like, you know, like he knew the guy. And I was like, maybe this guy is his father because he's so emotional. But he was not. He was a normal person, and he never knew the guy was telling the story on stage. But he got so moved by seeing the story live that it kind of epitomized everything that we wanted to do in those shows. So this is what we do, and this is also like we have a lot of projects. This guy was one of the guys who worked with us in the pop-up newsrooms, and now he writes chronicles for Mensagem. The book that you see there is a book that was written by a homeless guy who was writing for us chronicles every week for about 9 months, and he was a true writer, but except that he was never a writer, don't get me wrong. He was a homeless guy, and he was on the streets, and we asked him to write for us, and he wrote, and those chronicles became a book. This story here is a Chinese restaurant that we promoted a dinner with our readers there, and we had about 100 people going to this dinner, and Sophia is the owner of the restaurant, and she told her stories directly to the readers that were there to eat. So these are my 3 non-asked advices. To have better trust, we have to be authentic. I know it's very hard, but just be. Listen, co-create, and be present. It's very important to always be there, to not go and do some parachuting. That's one of the criticisms that we got from the beginning, and that's how we changed it. I also would like to, I think the model can be replicated. We will talk about that, I'm sure, in the debate. I think that this is one of the most important things that I have to say, that journalism won't be built in newsrooms, journalism will be built in neighborhoods. We believe we have a cafe also connected to our business, but we rarely go there because it's now a very busy cafe. But I think that being in where the people are, be it on social networks, but understanding what's going on there, and also on cafes, it's really, really important. Just one last thing that I would like to say. It's not very true that we were not funded by Europa Creativa, by Creative Europe, because this is something that... Can somebody take me a picture? This is, yeah? Because this is our project, which is called Tak Tak. You can get it here at the Tak Tak, at this Tak Tak Media webpage. It's something that Creative Europe helped us do. It's to share revenue between either associations or freelancers or many people in the media ecosystem. And I believe that this will also help our mission to open up. And as I said, I think I will go back. The future of journalism is outside of the newsrooms. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I really, really want to go to Lisbon. Who else? Yeah, a lot of people. Thank you. That was really inspiring. And I would say, clap your hands for our next guest. It's Alenka Čović. Welcome.
Thank you. Now I feel bad because I don't have so many videos. I actually have none. And just a few pictures and some other stuff. Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Čović Alenka. I'm the project manager of a project called NEWLOCAL, New Approaches for Local Media. That's a project that was mentioned before that was funded by... sorry. So New Approaches for Local Media Projects that was funded by Creative Europe Program News Journalism Partnerships. Before starting, I would like to thank the organizers of this whole event, and especially to the crew behind, so the camera guys and IT and everybody else, because this is an amazing event so far. I know it will continue to be like that. Okay, I'm here to present our project, so New Approaches for Local Media project, as I said, funded by Creative Europe program that has 10 partners. The lead partner being Varaždinske Vijesti from Croatia, and other partners coming from Slovenia, Serbia, and Montenegro. I know there is a lot of text here, so I will just shortly guide you through the project and the project summary. So it's a bit different that you said, so we didn't have murals and videos and stuff like that. We had the gadgets part. So we focused on the new innovative approach, but using digital, using IT tools on how to engage audience, how to find another sources of revenue for our partners. So 10 local media companies developed a new approach for the audience. We used a form of mobile apps, and we incorporated different features in the apps. So all of the apps basically have the same features that we believe in the future will gain more revenue for all the partners included. As the project manager, I will lead you through the work packages and just shortly through the tasks that we did in each of these work packages, but I will mainly focus on the documents that we produced on the mobile apps themselves, just so you can see how they look. So of course we had the project coordination and the dissemination and communication part of our project, but the core elements, the core work packages of our projects were product development, so the development of the mobile apps, interactivity and gamification, where we did different stuff, so different features that I will also tell you about. We also concentrated on this part of internal skills development. This was actually shown that for the partners, it was one of the best parts of the projects. I will also tell you just a bit about that later on. The project coordination, of course, included the project management part, financial management, communication with the European Commission, with some other bodies, for example, with Creative Europe Desk in Berlin, but also with our Croatian Creative Europe Desk, because we also had some contact with them during our project implementation. We come to the interesting part. So this was the part where we planned actually the production of the whole development of the mobile apps. So at the beginning of the program, the project, the whole development was planned. We actually, all 10 partners, planned on how they want their applications to look like, so that the developers can work on that and develop the products in the future. This is maybe the main part, the part that differentiates this project from maybe some other. This is that innovative approach to the audience. So we didn't just make a plain mobile application, but we incorporated different features in it. So each of the applications has quizzes, polls, readers' comments, gamification part, user-generated content, and so on. All of these reports are available on the project's webpage. The link is in one of the last slides, so you can also check it out, download everything, and see. On the slides following, I will move just a bit back so you can see. I took out some of the questions that were given when we were doing these reports. So the reports on quizzes, on polls, on audience engagement, and so on. Maybe not to go through all of them so that we don't take a lot of time, but there was one that I actually wanted to maybe put an emphasis on, and this is a question about using artificial intelligence. So we asked all of our partners in the project, would you use artificial intelligence to create quizzes? but it can also be transferred to polls and other stuff. Majority of them said yes, but only in combination with our editors. So we know we cannot escape it. Everybody uses, let's be honest, everybody uses artificial intelligence in one way or another, but everybody who was included in this poll said that, okay, we will use it, we would use it, but only in cooperation with our editors. We wanted to see how, at the beginning of the project, so before making the application itself, how the readers interact mostly with our local partners, the partners that were involved in the project. I don't know how many of you here are from journalism part. Do you agree with this statement or not? But for our partners, it was the most common interaction. Readers or listeners have it 80% of the partners in creating content is simply by sending their suggestions for news or by sending some photos, maybe some videos and so on. What we wanted to do, what we already see through our project, is that by using the apps that were developed, this is changing a bit. So it's not just sending the photos, sending the news about some, I don't know, local events or something like that. They are engaging in different ways. So they are giving suggestions on organizing maybe some new events, on starting something new in their local communities. We also integrated this gamification part in the applications, so that if you play a game, you have your, I don't know, avatars or something like that, so that you can collect points, win prizes, so that each of our partners also has to collaborate with different sponsors, work with them in this aspect. This is just so you can see, I took only 2 out of 10 of the applications because I think it would be really, really too much. This is the application from mobile application from Varaždinske Vijesti, so the lead project partner. How many of you speak Croatian? You understand everything, right? On the photos, of course. So just to go shortly, this is the beginning part, actual news, going through our town, sport, society, and stuff like that. And this is the quiz. Actually, the quizzes turned out to be the most interesting part in all of the application. So from the whole partners, I got the feedback back that incorporating quizzes was the best part. This is another application from one of our partners from Serbia, Boom 93, Boom 93. They have, the applications maybe look similar, but there are some differences in each of them. Why I put this one? Because if you click on their application here, they are actually a radio. So by using the mobile application, they are engaging with the audience. They're, I will not say making them, but if you're here, when I downloaded, the first thing I did, I pushed the button, of course, just to see what it is, and then some music came out and I was like, aha, okay, great, this is a radio. But the radio is playing in the background while you are scrolling through the application, so this is an amazing, amazing feature. This part here actually says citizens reporters. So all of these news are news sent by citizens, local communities, and people living in their town. This is the quiz, so you need to be logged in. You need to apply in order to take part in the quiz. One of the, besides the mobile applications, one of the parts of our projects was this internal skills development and sharing of know-how. Here, I will just like to focus on 2 main things. The first one was that we prepared a guidebook on best practices, which is also available on the project's webpage. So you can see what went well, what didn't go so well in our project. We did this guidebook 3 times during the project. So the initial version was put out at the beginning of the project. We did it, I think it was 19 or 7, I'm not sure about the timeline anymore, during the project, just to see what was getting better and better and better. And the final version is now available on our webpage. The work exchange program was, as I said, for the partners, of course, along with the mobile application, one of the most interesting and best parts for them. We did the work exchange program 2 times for each partner, so that from each partner organization, 1 employee from editorial, then 1 from commercial staff, went for 5 days to another partner organization to share experience, to gain some new knowledge and stuff like that. I actually met with all of our partners last Friday because it was our final project conference, and everybody was still talking about their work exchange program. Of course, they said it was great, I don't know, from partners from Serbia to come to Croatia to go to the sea, from partners from Croatia to go to Montenegro. Of course, you want to see something, but they said that this was the best part for most of them from the project, because not only did they listen to their colleagues, but they actually incorporated stuff that somebody else does into their own work. We also organized 2 online workshops, 2 online, let's call them conferences. They were internal, they were for project partners, their employees, volunteers, and so on, but they are also available on the YouTube channel that we created for the project. So if you want to check them out, you can. They are mainly about how to generate more revenue from different ways of audience engagement. And this final white paper will be soon available also on the project's webpage. That is actually the last thing, except from the report from the final conference that, as I said, took place in Croatia on Friday. This final white paper is the last thing that we have to do in our project, and of course the final report. But yeah. Regarding dissemination and communication, so here is the link to our project's website, so newlocal.space. There you can find all of these reports that I was talking about, information about the project, the funding of the project, and everything else. We also set up at the beginning of the project different social media channels, so Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and here is our YouTube channel. For now, on the YouTube channel of the project, you can see the video from the first project conference that took place in Slovenia a year ago, and 2 online workshops that we did during the project. And really soon, hopefully in the next week or so, we will also put the recording from the final conference that took part in Varaždin. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. And I hope you're ready for our next and last guest. Please clap your hands for Inanna Lallerstedt from Sweden.
Nice, thank you. Just want to start by saying that it's so nice to be here. I think this is very important topic for us to discuss. I'm going to talk today a little bit about SvD Compact. SvD Compact is a product that comes from Svenska Dagbladet. Svenska Dagbladet is a Swedish newspaper. We are part of Schibsted, which you might be familiar with. We are, I think, one of Sweden's largest premium subscriptions newspapers. And my name is Inanna. I work as head of product and growth at SvD. Please feel free to reach out after the event if you have questions or thoughts and want to discuss things. So I'm going to talk a bit about basically how we came to build SvD Compact. So at Svenska Dagbladet, we started by identifying a problem statement, basically, that I think you are all very familiar with. We saw that news avoidance is on the rise. We saw that the news cycle creates anxiety. I think many of us can relate to this. Being a lot in the news is stressful. There's so much happening around us right now. And it's not necessarily only feel-good news in the news cycle. And we also saw that a lot of news services are very similar to each other. If you remove the branding, it might even be quite hard to guess which site is which, right? So we also saw when we were talking to our users, we tried to speak to our readers as often as possible, that more and more people were expressing sort of a conscious thought around limiting both their screen time. I don't know if you can recognize this. I don't dare look at my screen time on my iPhone because it's so high. So that people are consciously trying to have less screen time, but also not only that, they are also consciously trying to not read the news so much. So we had users say that, like, yeah, I have limited my news consumption to once per day because otherwise I get too stressed. So we thought that, okay, if we see that news sites are looking quite similar to each other, the news cycle is experienced as negative and anxiety creating, and maybe then there could be an opportunity here for us to try to do something different. So we created SvD Compact. It gives you the most important news, quick and summarized. It also gives you a selection of like unlocked articles from our large news sites, Svenska Dagbladet. And it helps you stay in the loop to understand like what is the talk of today. We said that like when we started with this project, we had a couple of goals that we wanted to achieve, or ambitions. And the first one was basically that we wanted to reach new users. So expand our reach users that are in our target group, but that we don't have a relationship with yet. The other one is like perhaps a bit overly ambitious, battle news fatigue. But I think it's important for us, especially the traditional media houses, that we need to actually set like an active intent to do this. And I think we need to do it over and over, because most of these projects are probably going to fail. But we need to keep trying, right? We can't just keep doing what we've been doing for 100 years and like stay comfortable because we see it's not working anymore. And on that note, we also said, okay, we want to challenge ourselves. We want to try to do something that feels radically different. And we want to be okay with being a little bit uncomfortable internally with this new product. So Compact is for an audience that is happy with news at like a moderate level, but also like an audience that appreciates a break from the negative news flow. And we usually say it's like, for us, it's a younger segment. Our average age group is like quite high. So young for us is perhaps not what you think of when I say young, but younger. And that are perhaps more interested in like lifestyle segments, culture, entertainment, that sort of thing. Nice. Since I'm assuming most of you don't speak Swedish, I'm going to show you a few of the concepts, how they look. The first one, so we have a regular news feed in the app, and that's because we basically said like if the Swedish king dies, that still needs to be on the site. It's going to be weird if it's not there, even if people want less like heavy news. But we wanted to have a good mix with more constructive types of news. And then we also added like filter possibility where you can actually press the button tired of the news, and then you get more like a constructive mix of material, and we remove all the serious stuff. This button is pressed a bit, not that much, I would say, but people also mainly talk a lot about it in interviews. So I think not only has a function in the product, but it also gives a sort of vibe of what this new service is about. We also have one topic, 1 minute, which is, I think, quite self-explanatory. It's a way to understand a complex topic really quickly in 1 minute. We have something called sliding into an expert's DM. It's a conversation with an expert about a topic that is relevant right now. And it's quite nice because a text conversation is very short, right? So this also forces the expert to be really concise, which they aren't always. So it's a nice format in many ways. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk a bit about how we created Compact, how it became Compact. I mean, I have the product manager's hat on here, but I think this has been a really interesting project. Oops, sorry. I broke the clicker. It's very dramatic. This has been a really interesting project to be part of because we have had, I think, quite a collaborative... Sorry, I ruined it. Quite a collaborative effort between both product, editorial staff, and our business side. And one thing that was really important here was that we basically started by defining the problem that I described in the beginning. So always start with the problem if you're building something. And we spent quite some time on that. Once we had stated the problem, we had a very clear description of it, and we had also, I would say, a lot of buy-in from management at Svenska Dagbladet, so everyone was on board with what we were trying to do. Then we went into this sort of production phase, which started in February, and then we launched in September. So in 7 months, this went from an idea to an actual product in production. And we basically started from the challenge, we started from the problem description, and we just tested so many concepts. So we talked to a lot of users, did a lot of user interviews continuously, and then we also launched a beta version of the site in June. And then we had 10 users reading it every day and giving us continuous feedback. And this was super helpful. It also helped the editorial staff to test how much they could write per day. And it helped us understand what was important for the readers so we could iterate and then launch. And yeah, like I mentioned, I think people like to talk about cross-functional collaborations when it comes to building new things. Sometimes it is cross-functional for real, and sometimes you just say it in theory, but I would say this was a truly cross-functional collaboration where this whole group of different competencies and different functions, everybody had equal say. So I think that was extremely important. So the product people could say stuff about the content, and the editorial staff could say stuff about the product, and we listened to each other, and that was really good. And it wasn't self-explanatory that Compact would become an app or a separate destination. I think we started by discussing what t-shirt size should this project be? Is it a small, medium, or a large? And this question was basically brought up to the management team, and there we landed in large. So we said, okay, let's build it as a separate product. But I think this is also a really good discussion to have when you're building new things and when you're testing. I think maybe in retrospect it could have been smart to launch the small version first and then go for the large. But it's I think also easy to be wise afterwards. And we put a lot of work in defining the personality of Compact, because I think it's so easy to, if you have a news brand that has been around for a long period of time, it's very easy to sort of fall back into the identity that you already have. So we basically wrote a lot about the personality of Compact, and we also defined basically in these types of sliders where we are situated. And then we also worked a lot with creating a look and feel that is sort of related to our original brand, but not too close. So we wanted it to be able to be shown on our sort of regular site and not interfere too much, but we still wanted it also to feel quite different. And I think now Compact has been out for almost 2 years, which is really exciting. In the first year, we had 50,000 signups. 63% of the users were completely new to SVD. And we had a large portion of positive feedback from our users. I think especially for us, like building a relationship with new users has been very important. And we also saw, like in much of the user feedback, that there was really, it was really just so cool to see that people were saying things like, this gives me hope for reading the news, and this feels like a more humane way to read the news. I can read the news without getting an unpleasant knot in my stomach. It's just like, I think there are many things that we still need to work on with Compact, but I think this is like a hunch that it's so important to try these new things and to also like give the readers a break for a bit. And it wasn't certain that we would keep it separate from like our main product, but I think it was good that we did, because had we tried to integrate it in our main product immediately, it would have been hard to, I think, take some of the decisions that we did, because you have a lot of legacy in your larger products, and also a lot of personality that comes with it, right? So I think in this case it was really important. And we also have an awesome editorial staff. They have worked so hard on basically like how they write, so the tonality, but also like letting the readers basically like come closer to them, and also to have a more clear personality when they write. So like it's they have like a different style and language, and we also want the readers to sort of get to know them and have like a personal relationship, so that even if they're writing about something that's very serious or about something that's very light, they can still sort of have the same style, and you can recognize them, and they sort of hold your hand through the newsday. Nice. I think there are a million more things to say about this, but I think my time is almost up, so I'm going to pause here. And I think actually we will come back to the questions in a little bit. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Inanna. Thank you so much. I did not only love the content of your presentation, but also the color. I love this pink. And thank you to all of the three of you for these inspiring presentations. We've just seen 3 very different approaches, right? From local storytelling in Lisbon to cross-border media collaborations in Southeast Europe to product innovation at one of Sweden's leading newspapers. What they all have in common is they are not just experiments, they are concrete attempts to rebuild trust, to re-engage audiences, and rethink what journalism can look like in 2025. Now it's time to go a bit deeper. In the next 30 minutes, maybe even a little more, we want to explore not just what these teams did, but also what actually worked, what didn't work. We can learn from their failures, and what others can learn from it, and also where the biggest challenges still lie. So I would say let's welcome back our speakers to the stage. Katarina Carvalho, Alenka Čović, and Inanna Lallerstedt. Okay, you have your microphones. Perfect. Okay, so you've all just presented your projects, and let's maybe begin with one insight from behind the scenes. I would be interested in what was the most important early decision that helped to move your idea from a concept to reality. Maybe you want to start, Katarina.
Yeah, it's not that, as I said, it's not that We don't have product managers and all that stuff. The stuff is about 7 people. So it is a lot of instinct. And it has like, it's like innovation has become a way of thinking. We are always thinking about how to reach different ways to reach the people and different ways to do journalism. That's basically what we do. And it is very easy. Like, for example, Mensagem Live started by us understanding what was the trend in these kind of things. And then we went to Madrid to see a live show of a Spanish live journalism media. And we decided very easily that we wanted not to be us on stage, but to have people being there. And just let me tell you about this because I didn't have time to say it. It's free because it's in a national theater, so they are giving us the production work. But the tickets sell in 5 minutes. Literally. It was 6 minutes last time. So it is something that people are really eager to go on the next phase. And we are already thinking what to do next. That's the main thing. It's like you embed this innovation form of thinking every day. Every day we always think, what are we going to do next? What's the next thing we are going to create? I think what you said, like fatigue. People are very fatigued, not only with news but with everything. And I feel that, I mean, it may not be good because it is not a good thing, but we have to keep up with their anxiety.
Yeah, for sure. What about you? What would you say? What was the most important early decision for this product that you just presented?
I think an important sort of shared decision was basically to say that for 6 months, this is prio number 1. So if anyone comes with anything else, it's okay to say no to that. So I think we basically created a space to work on this product and to give it a fair chance to be created and launched.
I think that's really crucial because I think there are a lot of ideas in newsrooms, but there's not a lot of time, right? And then they are like, yeah, we should do that, but you can do it maybe 5 minutes on Friday afternoon, and that's often not enough, right?
No, I think to do new things, you need a little bit of grit and focus. So I think that was really an essential thing for it to actually come to life. Absolutely.
So is that something also about leadership, like your bosses, or who did that decision, who took that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to have you need to have buy-in from everyone in the management, I think, and also buy-in over time for these types of new ideas to sort of survive. I think it's really easy in a sense to launch new things. That's the easy part because it's really fun to build stuff. But I think the hard part is also after, right? There's that's sort of when the work starts to understand what works and what doesn't with your service, and to be really like keen on iterating and trying to just sort of pivot where needed, because I think when you launch these things, it's never perfect from the start, but you need to really have a sort of sincere ambition of learning and understanding and just keep at it all the time because it's never done, right? So I think that's also a crucial thing.
Yeah. Katharina, you just took a picture and you also thought about a picture when you were upstage. And I like that because it feels like you're thinking about content even in a situation like that and you're motivated to produce it. Is that something you always had inside of yourself, or is that also something you learned with the project?
No, it's normal that we integrate everything. I think that's one of it's again. We always say up there. There is a poster of a project that was done here at MIZ, and it says "Pivot to People." And I think it's the most important thing that we need to do right now. It's to pivot to being people and not just journalists that are from a very important subscription-based newspaper. We are people, and what we do in our private lives is this. We take pictures of things. And I'm not very much a social networks person, but that's what I do. Like, it's what I do as a person is what I do as a journalist. That's the most important thing that I believe we have to do, and that's what motivates everything that we do. It's kind of weird because we are innovating being humans, but it's in journalism, and I think a lot of people here are journalists, it's pretty hard to think as the neighbor next door. When you are a journalist, you always think about the political bubble or these guys who are very important politicians that will call me after my article. Yeah, how important am I? And that's not what we try to do.
That's the Berlin bubble as well. But that reminds me of something you just said. You said that your writers have their own styles and you really want to make people get to know them. So is personal branding important in journalism nowadays?
Oh, I feel like that's a question for the journalists and not the product manager.
Yeah.
But some reflections are that yes, it's becoming more important. I think.
What's the reason why you're doing this?
I think we see that. If you talk about personal branding in general, we see news influencers nowadays that have more followers than very large news organizations have subscribers, right? So on a general trend level, I think it's something to take very, very seriously. And I think like the larger media houses have had a tradition of sort of brand over personality, right? It's more like an institution that goes on. No sort of, and the people that work there, they come and go, but the institution itself exists for a very long time. And here we decided to like diverge from that a bit, and the reason for that is also we think it's easier to have trust for somebody that you know and like. And it can be easier if somebody that you like also tells you a tough piece of news, that can also be less stressful than just getting it like really like black and white on just coming out from some different source.
Yeah.
So I think for us it was the reason for it was the relationship building and trying to create a positive feeling around the service, basically by having our editors to be much more visible in the product.
People trust people, right?
True.
Alenka, your project is really complex with all these countries and everything. What was more difficult than expected, and how did you adjust?
Well, I don't know that we had any major difficulties during the project, because if I can just go back to your first question, what was the success behind the project, and to what you said now with the big media companies, I think that one of the best parts of the whole project is the fact that we included small local media companies that know the people, that know what's going on, and the best part was the fact that it was cross-sectoral. So it wasn't just print media, it wasn't just radio, it was everything. So print, radio, some of our partners only have web portals, so I think that that's the best part. Actually, we were at the beginning of the project, if I can be honest, afraid, because it's 2 years, 10 partners. That was the part that I was the most afraid of, that somebody is going to back out, that somebody is going to say after 1 year, I've had enough, this is not it, I want out of the project, because I hope you don't know, but that sometimes happens in the projects. And luckily, that was not the case with our project. We only have 2 weeks left, so hopefully nobody backs out in these 2 following weeks. So I can't say that we had some problems, of course, but we managed all of them, and we didn't have big difficulties during the project implementation.
Okay, that's great. I would like to talk about what actually works and what impact is maybe as well. Katharina, live journalism and pop-up newsrooms that you just presented bring journalism directly to the people. What kind of impact have you seen? I mean, you showed it already a little bit, but maybe you can share some stories about that.
Its impact is the most important discussion in these last, I think, 2-3 years, because again, I think that we are trying to get out of the reach and numbers, and we are really trying to understand what is the effect of news also, because the effect of news hasn't been very good, let me be honest, because we are in a world which is much more polarized, so maybe it is a little bit what we did. Actually, I think that journalists like to blame the social networks and all that system, but we were here and we were not able to compete with them or to use them in a better way. And I don't know if you know, but the Pope yesterday said something for the media, which was, let's try and not use this polarized language that you always use, and let's try to understand better the people that we are talking to, or with, maybe it's better. So impact is very hard to say. We are always trying to record impact. What we do is we keep a record page of the things that have changed in the world because of what we did. And a big part of that is changing lives, is changing a person's life. For example, I showed you that man that was there was a trash man. He, because of what we did, he earned a prize. He was given an award by the Lisbon recycling company, and he now has money to write his books about recycling, exactly. And so this is something that I think we need to consider, because it is changing a life is better than having 100 people reading it or not. We are always discussing this. We haven't reached a conclusion, but what we feel is that these people that are touched by our stories, and they are not breaking news stories, as you can see, but we do politics, we don't do politicians, we do gardens. I'm always looking into your cities and seeing you're not afraid of gardens and trees. And in Lisbon, it seems that we are afraid of trees. We are cutting them when they grow bigger than buildings, because they can be bad for the neighbors. So it's very hard. So yeah, so we do that. We do cycle lanes. We do political things. We don't cover politicians. Politicians don't appear at Mensagem very often. Only when there's elections and when we go interview them. For example, the last time we had our homeless guy interview the future mayor. So that's how they appear. But to tell you the truth, I don't know. I mean, value and impact are two different things. At Mensagem, they are not measured by numbers, but they are measured by importance, changing laws, changing lives, and all of that stuff. And I think this is something that we should all think about. Not to be very, paternalistic, but we are very much impactful on things. And I think that big brands, you were saying that normally big brands tend to not want journalists to appear. But big brands have a relationship with people also. So it's something that we should also value, and we should also bring to we should be less shy, I think, as you said, in the small media. We should be less shy in making people understand what we do and what the importance is. And that's impact also. I think that smaller media don't have numbers for impact, but they have a lot of impact. Yeah,
if I can,
please,
sorry.
Please, for sure.
That's one of the reasons why we decided for the project, because the application itself, it costs money to make a web application. It was a bit hard for each of the companies individually to go into that, but joining forces and giving information and feedback from each of them, and of course getting the funding from Europe helped a lot, but it was much easier to do it in this collaboration. Then I think if each of these partners went individually to make this kind of an application, it just wouldn't be possible, especially because of the finance part of that.
Yeah. You've tested a wide range of tools. You just presented apps and polls and gamification. What would you say? Which ones actually increased engagement? You said that this quiz was really crucial, right?
Yeah. So the quizzes and polls, I think, showed up as the biggest, the most impactful ones in the application, and the push notifications, of course. We did have, now I think about your question before, some of the features that we wanted to incorporate, we did, but not in the way that they were supposed to, because we noticed that, for example, this part with gamification and winning points and stuff like that, we noticed that some people were just clicking to get the points, but just scrolling through the news, not even looking at the news. That's why I think the quizzes and the polls showed up as the best ones in the applications. And of course, as I said, push notifications, but not just earning points by clicking through your application, not reading anything, and yeah.
Okay. Inanna, you just showed some feedback. What was feedback that surprised you? Or what was different than you expected in the feedback?
We wrote, when we started the project, we wrote what we wanted the readers to say about the product. And I think, one surprise was that it was very similar to what we actually wrote in the start. So we landed quite close to where we wanted to. And then I think for me also, there has also of course been some feedback that this isn't a serious news service, and why are you bringing up all these light topics, where is the heavy news? And for me that's also interesting to read, because it also sort of shows how hard it is to sort of build a news service that fits a big group of people. So I think that's also an interesting sort of reflection moving forward, that sometimes you also need to choose a bit who you're doing it for. And I think that when you do that, that can also make it easier for you to actually build new things. Because if you try to cater for too many people at once, it's going to end up not being that distinctive, basically.
You just said that your users are younger. But you didn't say a number, so maybe you want to do that now.
I actually don't have any interesting age data to share because of privacy.
Okay.
So we don't know specifically how old our users are in the product. So it was more that we set out to cater for users that are ish in their 30s.
Okay.
But I can't say what actual numbers are at the moment because of the GDPR.
Is that important to you to know how old your users are? Maybe for you as well. What would you say, your community, how old are they? Or does it depend from project to project?
Yeah, it's very why is it our GDP? We know who reads us.
We can ask for it, but we don't, because we feel like it's too much friction in the sign-up flow.
Sweden.
Okay. Okay.
I think we could get it if we spent more time on it, and we have predictions, but it's still it's not exact. This is a highly ongoing discussion of how much to collect data.
Yeah. So we have very different audiences. On Instagram, we started telling the stories for Instagram since the beginning. We had a very innovative young journalist who was doing that, and so we didn't care if people didn't come to our website to see the stories. We had New York Times that just started doing this, the slideshows, and then the reels after that. And so we tell the stories in compact ways to to Instagram. So we have a very young audience on Instagram that thinks that we are only on Instagram, basically. Then we have the newsletter, which is people who think we are just a newsletter, and those are about 50 or something. And then we have the guys who come for the live show, who are from 50 to 60 or something like that. And then on the webpage, we have a very interesting thing, which is we are like this. We have a very old audience, about people in their 60s and 70s, who are Lisbon lovers, history lovers, and don't really... they have a lot of time and they follow us and they read the articles and stuff. Then we have it gets lower in the 40s, and then it gets higher from 25 up. So it's pretty interesting. We don't really understand, but it's very like this. It's not like usual like this. Normally it's like this, and it's very different. And it's always been like this because social matters are cater more to the younger generations. The history matters cater more to the older generations in terms of life, and the urban matters are in the 30s or something like that.
Interesting. Alenka, what about the age structure at your project? Can you say something about that?
You mean with the project partners, how old they are? No, the audience, I think it's, like you said, it's a mixture. Because that's why we incorporated all of these different features in order to engage different types of audiences. And there are parts in the applications about sport and parts about economy and this and that, stuff that interests different audiences, different age range. For example, for the quizzes, they're not maybe for young kids, but they are also now engaging in that part, starting. And I don't like to talk about, I don't have Instagram, for example. I don't know how to use it because it seems too complicated to me. I'm in this over 30-ish older age group. Everybody says that for us is only Facebook and not Instagram, TikTok and stuff like that. So when it comes to our audience, I mean, to the audience of all of the partners, I think we try all of the partners in their applications to include everybody in different ways.
Which is kind of complicated to include everyone.
It
right?
is, yeah. I don't know, sorry, about their specific statistics about age groups, but I think that all different age ranges are in place.
I would like to continue to talk about impact, because we're not just talking about clicks or something like that, but deeper forms of change, like trust, like participation, resilience in local media and stuff like this. Alenka, I mean, your project connects local media across 4 countries. What forms of impact have you seen in different national or local contexts?
Well, I would like to come back to that part that I did mention during my presentation about this work exchange, where I now see that partners from, for example, Croatia are starting to incorporate in their work some stuff that partners from Serbia do. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that that also shows a kind of mix or some different twist in local context, because they are now approaching their audiences in a different way, in a way that they saw partners from different countries are trying to incorporate. And I would only just like to add, which I didn't say during the presentation, why we love the fact that we included 4 different countries is the fact that now we are going to, I was talking to somebody before the beginning of the presentation, are we going to continue with the project? We have so many ideas. And it's not just from Croatian point of view, Serbian point of view, Slovenian or Montenegrin. Now they're looking at it like a consortium. They just want to continue the project, continue with the work exchange, with the application, with this and that. Different, like, million ideas came out of the project. So I think that that's also a great thing.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, it's important to me that we all learn something and have our takeaways from this discussion. Maybe Inanna, you introduced a completely different product inside a big newsroom that already existed before and long times. What would you say, what needs to shift, not only culturally but also maybe organizationally, for more traditional media to truly embrace an audience-first innovation like you did?
Good question. I think one thing is to talk more to your audience. I mean, I think it's so inspiring that you go out and really meet people. The problem with that is that it's really time consuming. Yeah. So I think it's really easy to like deprioritize it when you have a lot of things happening in your organization. So I just think it's so important to sort of take the time to do that and prioritize that and really understand your readers and not only make assumptions about what they want. I think a great example is from our Danish colleagues, Zetland. Their editorial staff has to do a 1-hour reader interview, I think every 6 months or something like that. And that's, I mean, can be harder for larger companies perhaps to do in practice, but I think there's something there so that you not only have the same people talking to your readers, but that more people in the organization also are present basically in the community that you are focusing on. So I think that's one thing, and I think the other is to have a management team that creates the space for building new things. To have the intention to do that, I think you need to create that space. It doesn't just magically appear, and to continue to believe in that continuously, and to be open to projects that also fail. So because I mean they will fail. Most of them will. That's just how it is when you do new stuff. So just to understand that. Failure is learning, and to keep going. I think that's really important. So I think those are a few of the takeaways, at least, that I would.
Thank you. I think that was really important. Katarina, you are talking to people all the time, but you're focused on Lisbon. What would you say? Is that scalable to other cities? You already mentioned it in your presentation. To other cities or countries even? What would you say?
Yes, totally. I really think it is scalable. It's already done by some people out there, which we just don't know where, because there is no like international network of local media that maybe should be a good idea for a project, for a European project. Like there is a lot about independent media. There are some networks. There is the project Oasis, which was funded by Google, that maps, and there's also Svenska Dagbladet, which I think you are partners with. They did a mapping of independent media, but not local. And because local is sometimes very local, they don't go to these conferences that we do, and so they stay away from everything. So I think it's totally scalable. It is just even for big media. I think the idea of thinking outside of the box, but really in a very you don't need to have like a group of people thinking about it and something like that. You can just go and go to a cafe and be there for half an hour. Do like a speed dating with readers. It's easy if you start to think about it. I know that the times are hard, and they are hard for us too. That we are sustainable this year, but we don't know what's going to happen next year, because we are always dependent on the readers, on projects and stuff. So it's really, really easy to cover up beneath the blankets and not think about what's outside. So I think it is something that we need to get some effort to do. We are not always talking to readers. We are talking to readers at our events, but that is once a month. And what we do is we keep the conversation going on emails, on the questions that they ask us. On Instagram, we use it a lot for also speaking to them. But it is something that we do on a regular basis. Yes, much more than the big newspapers in Portugal do. But to get back to your question, yes, and I'm available to have talks with people that want to do that.
Alenka, how do you define impact in your own project or success?
Well, success is, especially in this part that I mentioned already, that we are all still the same partners, and the impact also in that way. And another part that I believe is success is that I also mentioned before, the fact that we are going to continue, the consortium is going to stay, apply for another projects, for different projects, but we are also thinking about maybe expanding the consortium. So this is an open call to everybody who is interested in joining our consortium. If you want to maybe give your inputs, give your ideas on how you can take part in the project. And another way that we, especially after the project finishes, I think that the impact will be visible by the number of people who downloaded the application, the normal, usual stuff, and of course the revenue, which is one of the most important parts of the work. But for me personally, really the success, I'm not just saying it to say it, is the connections that were formed in the project, and that's it.
That's nice. I hope we will form many more connections tonight, and it's almost time to do so, but I have one last question to all of you. If you had to give one piece of advice to a newsroom that wants to start innovating like you did, but maybe feels a little stuck, what would it be, this advice? Maybe Katharina, yeah? Maybe. Yeah.
You never give me time to think.
Sorry.
You think.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I will say surround you with good partners. I'm thinking in a project way. Go to European tender and funding webpage. Start thinking about project ideas. Don't go and find a potential tender, a potential application, and then try to write a project. Don't do that. So have different projects in mind and then incorporate them into the applications, into projects, and talk to your creative desks in your respective countries. They have a lot of information that they are willing to share.
Inanna?
Start with the problem you're trying to solve. Talk about that a lot. I think we talked about the problem scope for Compact for 3 or 4 months before we started actually working on it. When you have a shared view of what you're trying to solve, then everything becomes so much easier. It's kind of a boring answer, maybe, to the question, but it's like really do your homework and scope and discuss and rescope again. What problem are you trying to solve? I think that's a very good starting point.
And your problem is news avoidance, right?
Yes.
So you talked about that, and where does it come from? Why does it exist and stuff like this? And then you're trying to answer, okay, and what do we do against it now? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the sort of ambition we set was basically to reach new readers, right? And to target a reader group that is either opting out of the news completely or starting to opt out of the news, and also to challenge ourselves. That's what we said as like the 3 things. And I think that just gave us a very good foundation for making decisions down the line during the project, because that's it's always hard, right? And you're a big group of people, and everybody has a slightly different idea of what you said in the meeting 3 months ago, and then life happens and that sort of thing. So just giving yourselves like a strong foundation for making decisions continuously, I think, is a really good way to increase the success chances of these types of projects.
Thanks. Katarina, did you have enough time?
So I was thinking about the radical listening that I already wrote there, because it is something that if we take like old parties and new parties in politics, what the new parties have done is that they have really been rooted on what people think, in a bad way sometimes, in a good way other times, most of the times in a bad way. So the answer was to big problems and to complex problems was give the people new and simple solutions, which are basically a mirage, like something that doesn't exist. But what I think we could do is like listening to the people, and as you did, and as you understand, I was thinking, why isn't compact the whole thing? Why do you still keep the rest if that's what people want? I don't know. I was thinking about that, and this is something that I believe we are living in too much of preconcepts, and that we need to listen more and be there. Be there. Be in the city. Be wherever you are. Be there. Don't close yourselves in your cars and in your garages and in your buildings. Be where people are, listening to them and talking to them, but more listening than talking.
Period. Thank you so much. And I have to say goodbye to our live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to you three. Applause for our speakers. Please don't forget, innovation doesn't happen in isolation. It's really important that we communicate, and we will do so. Thank you to our live stream watchers. Have a great evening.